Now, this morning, there are growing concerns regarding the refusal of state agencies to comply with the right to information request. Now, the National Security Ministry, for instance, refused to release an investigative report on the assault of a journalist, Kojo, when the Right to Information Commission wrote to the ministry demanding a justification for the refusal. The ministry did not bother to send a response. The situation is no different with the Lands Commission, which has joined a growing list of agencies to be slapped with such penalties. Joseph Akable is with our research desk, and he joins us on Zoom with more. Joe, so let's start with the National Security Ministry. What accounted for the Commission's decision to impose such an administrative penalty?
So for the National Security Ministry, you recall sometime in 2022, news broke about the fact that a journalist with CTFM, Caleb Kojo, had been allegedly assaulted by officers of the National Security Ministry. And so Fix the Country convener Oliver Bakavomawo wrote to the National Security Ministry because it released a statement indicating that some of its men had conducted it themselves contrary to the standard operating protocol of the National Security, for which reason they had been transferred as part of the administrative sanctions. And so he wrote to the ministry asking that the ministry should provide details of this investigative report, as well as the name of the officers, among other information that he needed in order to know whether indeed there was such a probe and how wrong, because that statement from the National Security Ministry did not explicitly admit that Caleb Kojo was assaulted by the National Security officials. Now, he did not receive any response from the National Security Ministry. So he now wrote again, this time around, to the head of the ministry, in this particular instance, the minister. Again, no response was received, and then he took the matter to the Right to Information Commission. The Right to Information Commission then writes to the Ministry of National Security, asking that it provides a response on why it has not responded to the request for that information to be released. And the National Security Ministry did not respond to that request from the Right to Information Commission as well, meaning that the Right to Information Commission had to, on its own, analyzing the review request from Oliver Bakavomawo, to now conclude and issue those directives and direct the order specifically at the minister for payment of the amount to be under 50,000 cedis, as well as provide the various pieces of information that had been requested.
How about the Lands Commission?
For the Lands Commission, it was a request that was sent in the wake of the conversation surrounding the Achimota Forest matter. You recall government had indicated that they had decided to return some parcel of land, part of the forest, to the family that had initially owned the land that government had compulsorily acquired it. And so Occupy Ghana sent a request to the Lands Commission for the list and details of any such lands that the state had returned to allodial title holders after the state had compulsorily acquired them. No responses were coming in. The Lands Commission eventually came with a response that they wanted to know the nature of Occupy Ghana. Subsequently, they said they were writing to the Attorney General to seek the Attorney General's advice, which Occupy Ghana took the view that was not something that was provided for under the Right to Information law. They now decided to seek the intervention of the RTI Commission, and the Commission has now slapped them with the administrative penalties of 100,000 cedis.
Interesting. Grateful. Now, let's now bring in Suleiman Abrahima, Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. Mr. Abrahima, I'm grateful. I know the Fourth Estate has also been faced with similar challenges, and even in some cases, not even the imposition of penalties resulted in the release of these informations. Where do we go from here?
Well, I think that what we are witnessing is considerable progress. If you look at the fact that the RTI law is relatively new, and I'm saying this in relation to experiences from other countries in our region. So given that we have a commission that is very, very active, deal with cases expeditiously, and issue, its rulings. If you read the rulings that are issued by the commission, you would notice that a lot of efforts have gone into that.
Okay.
I know that since last year, in fact, even 2021, some institutions were fined. They include the Ghana Police Service, the Prison Service, HEFRA, a few of the district assemblies, and others. And of course, the case with the Minerals Commission, where the organization was asked to pay the equivalent of $1,000, and we had to eventually go to the RTI Commission, and the Commission ruled that what we ought to pay was about 2 cedis equivalent to the Commission, and I mean the Minerals Commission. The Commission did not agree and had to go to court on the matter against the RTI Commission. The court ruled in favor of the decision of the RTI Commission, and the Minerals Commission has decided to appeal. So I think that what is happening for me is quite exciting, because people are testing the law, institutions are not complying, people are resorting to the Commission, other institutions are going to court against the Commission. And I believe that eventually we'll come to a point where we consolidate, where people would appreciate that, look, we didn't make the law for fun, we made it for it to work, and so people need to comply with the law.
So for what's happening, and for someone who was part of those who called for this, what's your viewpoint? You think we're making progress, or we need to do more than what we're doing now?
No, we certainly we are making progress, but of course we have to also do more than we are doing now. It isn't the case that every RTI request is refused. As far as I know, from the experience of the fourth estate, for example, more than 50% or 60% of requests are granted. And of course, there have been occasions where requests have also been refused on the basis of exemptions within the law, which is also legitimate. Apart from that, the fact that the Commission is finding or imposing penalties is a mark of progress. I know that several of those institutions that penalties have been imposed on have not yet complied. But I'm also aware that the RTI Commission is actually taking steps to ensure that its orders are enforced, including the recovery of penalties that are imposed. Okay. So processes are ongoing to ensure that that also happens.
Now, what do you think? Must we be looking beyond just fines to change the law, to give the Commission some teeth to bite them?
Well, the law as it is already provides a mechanism for the Commission, the RTI Commission, to bite, to use your word. And the Commission is also in the process of drafting the LI, which will further elaborate the conditions under which the RTI Commission can impose its fines and enforce same. But even before the LI goes through, there are processes that I know the Commission is undertaking to ensure that either they go to court to enforce their penalties and orders, or institutions comply. Otherwise, they have to face the full rigors of the law through the courts or the judicial mechanism.
All right. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us. Mr. Suleiman Brahima is the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. Let's now move to the former president's campaign tour of the Volta region. Now, he is highly tipped to win the NDC's presidential primary, but that is not slowing former President John Dramani Mahama down. He is setting a victory, but more concerned about the margin. Mr. Mahama, who launched his campaign Thursday in the Volta region capital, Ho, is now touring all 17 constituencies in the region. At North Dai, the former president demanded 99.9% of the vote, and this, he believes, will send a strong signal to the MPP about the NDC's readiness to wrestle power in 2024. At Hohoi, the former president is unhappy the NPP won the seat. He describes it as an abomination. Listen.
Who caused the problem? Who lighted the fire in the house? Is the same person you're asking to bring water and come and quench the fire. But God works in mysterious ways. And if this didn't happen, perhaps people won't appreciate the work that the NDC did. Yes, we borrowed money. When we left office, we owed 120 billion cedis. But we built a new port for Ghana, a new harbor. You should go and see it, state of the art. We built a new airport. We built an airport in Ho. We built the University of Health and Allied Sciences. We built of Health and Allied Sciences. We build community day schools. We build hospitals and health facilities across the length and breadth of this country. 120 billion cedis debt we left. Today's Ghana's debt is almost 600 billion cedis. And the point is, what did they do with all that money? If NDC had borrowed what they borrowed, almost 400 and something billion cedis, today Ghana will be like Dubai. It won't be like this. Because if today we even say we are broke, we would have been able to show you that we have used that money wisely to modernize our country. But unfortunately, there's nothing like that. And so, Ghanaians are looking up to us, NDC. And it's a responsibility we must take seriously. To win the election, the first thing we need is unity. And we must take our seats, Hohoi seats, back from Atiglinyi. I feel shy when I'm told that Hohoi is an MPP constituency. I feel ashamed. It's an abomination that we must cure as soon as possible. And may it never happen.
So that's former President John Dramani Mahama. Now to other stories. The Republic of Guinea is the first amongst a number of African countries repatriating their citizens from Tunisia after the country's increasingly authoritarian leader called for a crackdown on migrants from sub-Saharan Africa. Now, the African Union at the start of this week condemned the comment of the Tunis president Kais Saied, which is said to be targeted at immigrants and goes against the foundational principles of the African Union. Already, Guinea and Ivory Coast have commenced their repatriations with scores arriving last night. Blazer Soga is with our JoyNews International Desk, and he joins us on Zoom with more. Now, Blazer, exactly what statement did the president of Tunisia make?
Well, basically, the Kai Said regime and the leader itself is basically making a point by saying that migration appears to be a tool that is being used by not just Africans, but the West as well, to change, quote, the demographics within his country. He's seeking to retain power in the country. And of course, in the face of opposition, he's cracking down on immigration. Immigrants particularly, claiming that these sets of people, especially from sub-Saharan Africa, are changing the dynamics of politics within his state, a reason for which he is going ahead to tighten measures. In fact, there are reports as we speak that even if you're attacked as a sub-Saharan African in Tunisia, the state authorities will do very little to help you. So it's the reason for which we're seeing what we're seeing now, where countries such as Guinea, Côte d'Ivoire or La Côte d'Ivoire beginning to, of course, take their citizens, repatriate them. The last or the first set we're seeing is the set from Guinea. You know, the Doumbouya regime, yeah. It's a military regime, so they are beginning already to move their citizens. The president or the head of state, as he is now, moved Guineans into the country last night. And so you see scenes of that on your screens right now, telling you the kind of situation that we're talking about. There are fears, however, that this may also affect other nationals, and that's why we're worried about the Ghanaian citizenry in Tunisia. We've been making several attempts to reach some students and other individuals who are in Tunisia. We've not been successful yet, but the closest we've gotten to is Morocco. Of course, you know that there is a student union that spreads across these regions. We've spoken to their leaderships a couple of minutes ago. The indication we're getting is that they are equally making attempts to reach out to their colleagues who are in Tunisia. But for those in Morocco, they're doing well, they're doing fine by now. But the concern now is about Tunisia. That's the situation as we speak.
Interesting. What is the African Union also doing about this particular, development in Tunisia?
Obviously, the African Union feels that the statement by Kai Said goes against the foundational principles of the African Union, which calls for African unity. And it's quite surprising that such a leader would make a statement that smacks of discrimination and racism. They believe that the leadership, the Kai Said regime, have to pay attention to international law, the laws governing migration and other issues that work within the African region. A reason for which they believe that that statement should not be coming from Kai Said.
Now, has still talking about this particular development, has the Ghanaian Foreign Affairs Ministry spoken on the safety of our citizens there? You mentioned that we've tried to reach out to them, we've not heard it, but have we heard anything from them?
So we've personally made attempts to hear from the Foreign Ministry. We've not been successful yet. At least a few calls to the Deputy Minister in charge. We're yet to get a return of that call from him. We would also make attempts to reach other officials at the Foreign Ministry. Definitely, this is a matter that should be of concern to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, because once you have Guineans and other sub-Saharan Africans moving their citizens, you can tell that obviously Ghanaians will be in Tunisia. It's a fact that there are a lot of Ghanaians there that we need to protect. We need to be, of course, on the lookout for, a reason for which personally here at the international desk at JoyNews, we've tried to, of course, reach out to find out if they are safe. The last contact we made has not been successful. So we're still trying. We'll still keep you updated on what's happening. But for those, as we've confirmed, in Morocco now, closer to Tunisia, where that is happening, they have confirmed that they are safe, but we're still yet to get into the hotspot, which is Tunis itself, to find out what's happening there. But for the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the expectation is that they would have to act fast if they indeed have to act, because some videos have already gone viral on social media showing and depicting violence being meted out on some, ostensibly sub-Saharan Africans. So it tells you that there's a need for an urgent action now, a need for our authorities to act, just as how we've seen La Côte d'Ivoire, which is very close to us, and Guinea repatriate their citizens from Tunisia.
Blessed, I'm grateful to you. Thank you so much. Now, that is the situation in Tunisia, and the earlier our government is able to reach out to our people there, the better for all of us. But we'll be keeping an eye on this, so stay tuned to JoyNews. We'll bring you every detail of what's happening there as and when we get them. But to other stories now, and the State MA Business School in Kumasi is in a state of near collapse. Our students are exposed to the risk of weak structures. School authorities described the failure to rehabilitate the school building as a complete dereliction of duty on the part of the government. They have called on educational authorities to consider its reconstruction to avert any future inconveniences. Now, Love FM's Nana Yabuachi Yadom has more in the following report.
The State MA Basic School at Bantama in Kumasi was constructed in 1940. The school has over the past 70 years seen no major renovation. The school block has been deteriorated and in a near collapse state. Most classrooms have been locked due to the threat it posed to students.
So this is a portion of the basic school near collapse. This block has been declared a danger zone by school authorities. About 10 classrooms are being locked up considering the threat it poses to students.
Major parts of the building are tarred with ripped-off roofs. This has attracted encroachers to claim several lands of the basic school.
So behind me is the wall of the Adventist Senior High School, Bantama. Ordinarily, the wall should exceed where the yellow bars is, but they have encroached major parts of the primary school lands.
The school, which could accommodate about 800 students a year, currently has 100 students as anxious parents continue to withdraw their wards. Chairman of the school's management committee, Peter Kwesi Jemfi, is worried about the neglect.
The foundation of the building is near to collapse, and even the roofing, some of the roofings have been taken off. So considering all these things, we won't allow the people to come and sit inside and study, because it's not even advisable for us to allow the students and the teachers to enter and study. The state of the school, if care is not being taken, if no action is being taken, we will wake up one day and hear that there is a kind of other tragedy or something that we are not expecting. I won't stand here and say I'm a prophet of doom to bring any bad news or talk of bad news about the school. But if care is not being taken and if immediate action is not being taken, I'm afraid to say something bad will happen to this school. So I'm appealing to the MP, who is also a product of this school, Honorable Asenso Boachi, to come into our aid and rescue the school.
The accountant of the school's management committee, Bosiam Ponsa Mensa, called on the government and alumni of the school to come to their aid.
Regional Minister, we are appealing to Regional Minister. The 2-4 completed this school. He came to state primary, state SHS. We are appealing to him. Mr. Charles Kubrobe Tarzan is also an old student here. Mr. Alan Chematen is an old student here. A lot of people. We are pleading to all old students of state primary, state schools to come to the aid of the school, to come and then help raise the image of the school.
Some students also pleaded for the renovation of the school building.
The building is not good. I am afraid of the building can break. When I come inside today, I am afraid. If I am sitting inside today, I am not comfortable.
We are pleading with government. Please come and face our school for us. We are scared.
So among the about 20 classrooms here at the State MA Primary School, this is the only surviving classroom, as other classrooms poses threats to the lives of students. For JoyNews, Nana Boache Dankoyadom reporting.
Well, the chairman of the school's management committee, State MA Basic School, Peter Kwesi Jemfi, joins us via Zoom now. Now, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Why has the structures been left in this state all this while? You are calling on government, but who have you attempted to speak to from government to get it, repaired or of a sort? Hello, Mr. Jemfi. If you could unmute for us so we can follow what you're telling us, we'll be grateful. All right, so we are on with the SMC chairman of the school. We're trying to understand what the effort they've put in to ensure that the weak structures have been renovated, but connection between us and him seems to be a bit of a challenge. When we do get him, eventually we'll bring him so we can have that chat on. But moving to other stories now. Okay, so we have Mr. Jemfi back on the line. Mr. Jemfi, I'm grateful for joining us. Now, we want to understand why the school is in the state it is now. Mr. Jemfi, can you kindly unmute for us so we can follow what you're telling us? All right.
I hope you hear me now, sir.
Okay, yes, it's clear now. Let's hear you.
Thank you very much for having me on your line. Since the inception of the school, we have tried so many ways for help in order to upgrade and maintain the school. But as we have tried so many ways, there hasn't been any attempt to renovate or maintain the classrooms for us. So it's a big challenge that we are facing as a management member of the school. So we are appealing to the quarters, that is the government, the ministers, and even the old students of the school to come in to assist us to renovate the school. Okay,
I'm sure once you're in Kumasi, have you made an attempt at reaching the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly or even the Education Service
yes,
to do something about this? What have they been telling you?
Yeah, Yeah, we have written several letters to the Metropolitan Assembly. Even as I'm speaking to you now, just about 2 weeks ago, we sent letters and even pictures of the school to them, and we are yet to receive a response to that.
Wow. For how long have these letters been with the authorities?
If I talk of the education, metro education, many times, and as I'm speaking, my brother, you know it. I can't say once or twice or thrice, but several times we have tried so many ways. It was just about a week ago that I received a letter from the metro director, that's the education, that a letter has been sent to the mayor to convene a meeting so that we can just thrash out the issue.
Okay. I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, we've been trying to reach the authorities to get answers as to why the structure is in the state it is, but all of them have, not giving us their go-ahead to speak on this matter. But when we are able to get through to them, we'll ensure that we'll bring you that update. Now, two other stories. The Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Insia Ansari, has revealed there are plans to pass a legislation on organ transplant and donation in Ghana. According to him, some chronic health conditions such as the corneal scars can be cured when legislations are passed to allow people donate organs and tissues to help affected persons. He was speaking at the first ever cornea transplant summit in Ghana, organized by the HCP Cure Blindness and the Ophthalmological Society of Ghana. There's more in this report.
Corneal scars is one of the major causes of blindness. According to a 2015 research, about 26,000 people, representing 11.2% of blind people in Ghana, were suffering from corneal scars. However, blindness caused by corneal scars can be reversed by a corneal transplant from a dying donor. The Corneal Transplant Summit in Ghana, organized by the ACP Cure Blindness and Ophthalmological Society of Ghana, is aimed at advocating a legislation to legalize and regulate transplant of corneal and other organs. The Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Insia Ansari, in his speech indicated plans are in place for the legislation.
So all what is left to be done is that to have the law or legislation backing tissue and organ transplantation, not only for eye alone, but for kidneys, for heart, and for other things. We need to have proper laws which will guide it so that nobody will catch somebody somewhere and remove the eyes. And this is exactly what we want to do to assist to make this law happen. So we are hoping that it will go through the proper processes from the Ministry of Health, goes through the Cabinet, for Cabinet approval, it goes to Parliament. And I hope that when the time comes, we all join together to impress upon our legislators to pass this law, which we need as quickly as possible.
Dr. James Addy is the country director of ACP Cure Blindness. He reiterated the importance of the summit.
Have corneal scars, who have corneal blindness, also need our help. And that's why we are here today, to come together, put our heads together, and try and develop a legislation, a law that will open up so that we can have, first and foremost, eye bank. It's about time we get a legislation. It's about time we build the eye bank. And it's about time, as Ghanaians, we accept the fact that now we can transplant our organs, we can give part of our body when we are dying. And once the law is there, we can sign to it. We can harvest the corneal tissue. We can have an eye bank. And therefore, any time that anyone is blind from corneal conditions, we don't need to get anybody to fly. We can get it from the bank and do the surgery for the person to restore the sight.
A beneficiary of corneal plants in 2013, Prince Owusu Banahene, shared his story and called on authorities to quickly legalize organ transplants so that others in the same situation like himself can be impacted.
Back in school, I couldn't even study well, or because I couldn't see from the blackboard. I have to get very close to the board before I will be able to study or read something from the board. But now, thanks to the surgery that I did, it has been very good for me. I would urge the government and anybody involved to pass this legislation so that people like me who need help can also get the chance to have their corneal transplant done.
Nana Ehunabobrim Ajinsem, the paramount chief of the Asin Orenchi traditional area in the central region, was outdoored the ambassador to champion the cause of corneal donation and transplants. The summit was on the theme paving the way to cure corneal blindness in Ghana. Prince Kwame Koduga's report read to you.
Now, to our Ghana Man series, and fetching water with a basket sounds like a fruitless and unintelligent thing to do. But can you believe that this is very possible? In our Ghana Month series, Kojo Yankson takes you to Ada to meet traditional priests who are able to fetch water without the water dripping.
The world turned its eyes on Ada this year as their annual Asafotufiami festival drew tourists and visitors from across the globe. This cultural extravaganza commemorates the numerous military victories chalked up throughout history by the ancestral people of the Ada Kingdom. We are here for the first time to experience it all for ourselves. The loud rhythmic drumming and the bright red clothing, the unceremonious loud bark of the muskets and the heady mixed aroma of gunpowder and goat kebab leaves one in no doubt whatsoever that you are at a festival. One by one, the clans line up on either side of the road. The second half of today's ceremony takes place on the riverbank. This is where the whole Ada township follows their traditional leaders to the waterfront to thank the gods for victory and to cleanse their bodies after the bloody battle. Crowds are so large that a whole contingent of regular and marine police are working together to control crowds by land and by water.
That's a basket. Now, that man, that priest, is going to use the basket to fetch water from the river, and the water will not spill. I don't know if you can see. All right? See, that's a basket full of water that's not spilling. All right? Now they're going to carry that basket back, and then some of the leaders are going to drink from it. But as you can see, the water is not spilling from the basket.
And this is how the Asafotufiami ceremony comes to an end. A beautiful cultural moment lovingly recreated in this quiet riverside town. It really was worth the trip. I want to see you there next year, okay?
Well, management of the Ghana Water Company Limited in the Western region has dragged 28 of its defaulting customers in the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis to various courts in the metropolis over unpaid utility bills. According to the company, the individuals, government institutions, churches and companies owe the company more than 300,000 cedis, and despite persistent notices by the company, some have not made any attempt to pay the bills. Communications Director for the company, Western and Central Region, Nanaya Barima Banye, speaking to JoyNews after a court proceeding, said the company is leaving no stone unturned and is collecting those debt. Athalia Kwanzaa has more in the following report.
Communications Director for the Ghana Water Company for the Western and Central Regions, Nanaya Barima Banye, explaining why the company decided to resort to the court, said the customers have defaulted payment for between 2 and 6 years and have been disconnected but have refused to pay their water bills despite strenuous efforts made, including demand notices and reminders served on them by the company to collect the arrears. The 28 customers made up of hotels, churches, government institutions, transport companies, and residential customers owe the Ghana Water Company Limited more than 327,000 Ghana cedis.
So now we have about 28 customers within the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis whom we have processed for court. So far, we have in excess of 18 customers that we have brought to court. As at yesterday, the number of people that we had brought to court, they owed about 96,000 Ghana cedis to Ghana Water Company. But fortunately, after the court, we were able to get from them about 60,000 of the amount that they were owing. And some of them have pleaded with us to give them some kind of payment plan. Somebody was so embarrassed, he was owing about 9,200 Ghana cedis. Immediately after the court heard the matter, he went and paid all the bill. He didn't want his name to come to the public domain. So this is what we are doing so that we will be able to collect all our arrears from defaulting customers. I must say that the 28 customers that we have processed for court, even though all of them have not been called before court, they owe in excess of 327,000 Ghana cedis. So we are going to make sure that we collect all these arrears that the customers owe us, and we are not going to allow anybody to have our money without paying. We will leave no stone unturned in our effort to collect all monies from defaulting customers.
Meanwhile, Nanaya Barima Banye has refuted claims that customers are billed though there is no supply of water by the company. He describes such claims as baseless.
Well, this is a statement that has no basis, not at all. I am also a customer of Ghana Water Company. There are times my water does not run. For a whole month, not a drop of water will pass through my tap, and no bill will be sent to me. It's not because I'm a staff of Ghana Water Company, no. It's the meter they come to read. So if you come to your meter and we read it, and it does not read anything, meaning no water passes your meter, nobody is going to conjure any figure and bill you with it. So those who say that they don't get water, yet we send them bills, it has no basis at all. It is not something that is founded in reality.
For JoyNews, Athalia Kwanzaa, Sekondi Takoradi.
Now, Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of services at the Volta River Authority, Dr. Stella Ajenim Boateng, has advised the youth to portray the right attitudes and values in their search for career opportunities. According to her, the youth hate to be reprimanded and corrected. She spoke at a career-based event at the Heritage Christian College dubbed the Aligning Millennials to the World of Work.
Kind of graduates that the universities are turning out are not meeting industry standards.
Always a need.
Thanks for watching JoyNews. Let's go take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Hello, good morning. Warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News Desk with me, Pius Kojo. Vice President of Development Bank Ghana, Michael Mensah-Ban, has stated that his outfit has access to sufficient capital to about $700 million, which will be channeled into identifying the gaps and challenges that are hampering production in the agricultural sector. He says the bank will serve as a catalyst in bringing together stakeholders in the agricultural sector through workshops to address challenges facing the industry.
Bank Ghana is organizing workshops for players in the value chains of the agricultural sector to identify the challenges in the sector that are hampering production. The workshop will focus on poultry, rice, maize, and soybean producers. In an interview, Vice President of the Development Bank Ghana, Michael Mensah-Ban, said the bank has enough funds to bridge the funding gap in the agricultural sector.
We have access to almost $700 million, and we believe that we have sufficient capital to at least start the journey. The funding gap that we see in agriculture is significant, but we believe that what we have is enough to start that journey of providing the funding that we need to support that sector. In addition to that, we've always stated that we also want to act as a catalyst, which is we don't aim to do everything on our own, but we aim to bring all these various stakeholders who are also interested. So for example, this morning we had a MasterCard Foundation here, and they have committed that once we are able to do our work and de-risk the market and create the enabling environment that will attract funding. So the work alone is not about just how much have we given out, but it's also identifying the problem and making sure that the funding is used in the right way. And
Deputy Chief Economist of Development Bank Ghana, Godwin Kojo Ayeno, added that the bank is poised to create an enabling environment for private investors to invest in the agricultural sector.
We are in the space to try and connect the demand side with the supply side, and also the enabling environment become conducive enough for the private sector to invest. And when they are investing and they need medium to long-term capital investment, that's where DBG comes in. Of course, we work together with the participating financial institutions. We do not take deposit, nor we give money directly, but then we work through the financial institutions to ensure that private sector enterprises, businesses, especially in the 4 value chains that we have mentioned, maize, soya, poultry, and rice, that will become self-sufficient in the medium to long term.
The workshops will be held in Kumasi, Tunyani, and Ho, respectively.
Now, the Ghana Water Initiative, a strategic business within the Grand Force, has launched its Sure Water mineral water to increase water affordability in other parts of the country. According to its engagement manager, Holali Kojo, the new packaged water is aimed at increasing water security to aid in contributing to a sustainable environment by reducing the use of sachet water in Ghana. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of its Sure Water mineral water at Nsawam.
Sure Water will provide access to clean water as a refill service to 4,000 residents in Otuase and 150,000 residents in Nsawam, as well as citizens from other parts of Accra. According to Engagement Officer for the Ghana Water Initiative, Holali Yao Kumakbodo, This is part of the larger project which aims to develop commercially viable solutions to provide water services to undeserved communities in Ghana and reach 1 million people with drinking water by 2026.
In 2019, Grundfos, as the biggest pump manufacturing company in the world, decided to take some more responsibilities in SDG 6 to get water to people who do not currently have. When you look at our system now, Ghana Water, for example, takes care of the urban centers, the community water sanitation, and I think the NGOs take care of like very small communities. But if you look at small towns, what we call the missing middle, no one is really taking care of them. So we decided to take that responsibility upon ourselves and make sure that everyone has access to water. Because when you look at the SDGs, we are driven by the SDG 6, right? So when you look at the SDG 6, which stipulates that everybody needs to have water and sanitation, and that is currently not the case. And as a pump company, our products are used in solving these water issues, and we've just decided to take some more responsibility to see how best we can impact the world and going into that space directly also.
He also mentioned that his outfit is committed to improving people's quality of life through access to clean water, which they believe is a fundamental right.
So what we've decided to do is to treat water for homes, so for equitaps or the standpipes as we normally call them. And we noticed that infrastructurally we will not be able to pipe water to everyone's home. And Ghana or Africa, for example, we are not there yet infrastructurally, but we don't want to leave anyone to behind. So we decided to come by this 20-liter dispenser bottle after a lot of work. We know this is not going to make the environment bad, or it's not going to pollute the environment like we see with the sachet and the small bottles. So we decided to go into this space, and so this will be able to crop subsidize the water we are giving to the rural communities. We have decided to do this in communities where normally they will not have money to pay. So this bottle will be crop subsidizing what we are doing here for the homes, for the equitabs, so that the business can be sustainable.
Grundfos established the Ghana Water Initiative under the Grundfos Safe Water Unit to design and test new approaches to water service delivery in rural communities in Ghana. The company is working towards Grundfos' ambition of reaching 300 million people in 2030 with access to drinking water.
And that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka.
So let's do Tech Talk now, and Spiky Nkrumah is with us. Now, Spiky, great to see you. Now, what's up for today?
So, you know, AI is really trending since ChatGPT started doing its thing from last year. And so up next, we have even Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Meta, previously Facebook, who's jumping into AI after his supposed interest in the metaverse, which is virtual reality and augmented reality. Now he's saying that, hey, you know, I want to get a piece of this AI pie. So we're looking at Meta getting into the whole AI business with the likes of Snapchat and Microsoft and Google all being in the AI space. Yeah, so look forward to something like more advanced filters on Instagram, more advanced filters on Facebook, to when you are when you're making those Instagram reels and Facebook videos, you should be seeing that.
Interesting. Okay, let's see. Apart from that, what else we have on the table?
So after that, we have TikTok saying that they're going to be setting a 1-hour daily limit for users under the age of 18. So if you are under 18 and you're using TikTok, after an hour, you'll be prompted to enter a passcode. This is a bit to either make sure that the users are not spending too much time on these devices, since it's become much of a problem. You know, the young ones have a habit of staying on these devices long hours, not taking breaks for their eyes or for their own health. There's no research proving that this has negative impact on them, but psychologically and socially, we think that it does have an impact on them. And TikTok, as one of the companies who's striving to improve the lives of its users or the lifestyle of its users, has said that it's going to start putting limits on users after 1 hour of use.
So those of us above 18, we are not affected, right?
Well, they expect you to make informed decisions and wise choices. Don't stay online for too long. Don't stay on your device for too long.
Okay, all right then. Okay, so moving on from TikTok, what else? What else?
Moving on from TikTok into more AI. So if you know the CNET brand, if you're a tech head who likes reading tech news, you know CNET. And CNET did try AI for writing their articles for some time. And yeah, with that happening, it's proven that some people's jobs are going to be lost. So CNET is laying off jobs because clearly AI is proving to be more efficient than writers, and even their chief editor is being asked to go and head digital strategy and AI content provision. So that's a very interesting turn of events.
Yeah.
People were crying that, hey, our jobs are not threatened by AI, but it seems our jobs some jobs are going to be threatened if the workers don't learn. Well, you know what they say, if you don't change, you will be changed.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
unfortunate for those people who are losing their jobs.
Wow, okay. Grateful to you, Kobe, for the Tech Talk today. Okay, so that's all in Tech Talk, and that's how we wrap up the bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Thanks for your company. Do enjoy the rest of our bulletins. Good morning.